would like to welcome all the participants. We are going to start very soon. As you know, today we are going to talk about life in Italy according to Thais, what Thais need to know about Italy's laws and rights. This webinar is implemented by us at the Italian Chamber of Commerce with the support of ALLegal. Thank to Mr. Edoardo Artese that help us to coordinate with several speakers that we have today in the session. So you will have also legal aspect to browse, and later on in the session we will be talking to actually Thai citizens relocated in Italy, living in Italy, that they will share their presentation. We have a tight schedule, so with no much further ado, I would like to leave this virtual floor to our friend Edoardo from ALLegal. Edoardo, is all yours.
I'm Edoardo Artese. I'm the managing partner of ALLegal. We are a law firm here in Milan, working in business of the Thai Italian Chamber of Commerce. Okay. And we are trying to help companies to work between Thailand and Italy. Okay, today is the first of two webinars we are organized with the Chamber of Commerce. The idea of this webinar came from Michele and Giacomo Iobizzi. Okay, and we like to try to explain to the Thai people how is the life here in Italy, okay? Because we think Thailand and Italy are two countries very far, okay? But there is a lot of things very similar, okay? How we want to coordinate this webinar? We start with our legal part, okay? There is my colleague Serena, Leonardi, and Riccardo Tassan Solet, and there's very small introduction to the immigration law, so how to come to Italy for Thai people. And after we want to explain the family law here in Italy, because it's a little bit different from Thailand. Okay. After we have three Thai guests, okay, then living in Italy, they are three friends, and they make a very short introduction of their life here in Italy, and after they are open to all the questions, okay, in English, also in Thai if you prefer, don't worry. Okay. But first of all, I have to introduce and thank to special guests. Okay, the first one is very difficult to pronounce, but I try, is Miss Kundhinee Aksornwong. Okay, I try is correct. Okay, she's the minister of the Thai embassy in Rome. Okay, and here in Milan. Okay, thank you so much, Miss Kundhinee. Just say sorry, Kundhinee, because it's easier to say to me to be our guest from Rome. We know you are very busy today because it's a special day here in Rome. And I leave the floor for you if you want to say something about your person and your work here in Italy for Thai people. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. ก่อนอื่นนะคะก็ขอสวัสดีท่านผู้ฟังทุกท่านนะคะวันนี้เนี่ยในโอกาสเนี้ยพอดีเรามีทั้งต่างชาติแล้วก็คนไทยนะคะก็เดี๋ยวจะขออนุญาตพูดเป็นภาษาอังกฤษนะคะแต่หลักๆแล้วเนี่ยก็คงจะเป็นเรื่องการใช้ชีวิตแล้วก็บทบาทของสถานทูตนะคะถ้ามีอะไรเดี๋ยวเราก็คุยกันทาง Facebook แล้วก็ทาง Facebook แล้วก็ทางเว็บไซต์ของสถานทูตได้นะคะ Yes, good morning, buongiorno, and buonasera in Thailand. Distinguished participants, ladies and gentlemen, I would like to express my appreciation to the Thai Italian Chamber of Commerce, Mr. Alberto, Virgilio, the Royal Thai Honorary Consulate General in Milan, as well as ALLegal Law Firm for arranging this webinar. We hope that this session will provide fruitful information about living in Thailand, doing business, as well as things that you need to know about Italy and people. It is also an honor for me to be here today for representing the Royal Thai Embassy in Rome. Before we start this webinar, please allow me to share with you some information on Thailand and Italy relations, the role of Royal Thai Embassy in Rome, and the relaxation of travel restriction during the COVID-19. Thailand and Italy have enjoyed cordial ties more than 154 years, established its diplomatic relations since 1868. Currently, we have constructive dialogues and collaboration in many fields. Key areas such as trade and investment, education, culture, and science and technology are of particular interest. For Thailand, Italy, innovation, technology, SMEs, as well as fashion designs, among other things, are considered role models. In terms of trade and investment, there have been an increasing number of trade and investment from both sides. Before COVID-19, total trade reached $3 billion, and last year, the total trade was $1.8 billion. That increase of 29% from the previous year. The investment of the Central Group and Thailand Pokapan Group are some of the notable Thai investment in Italy. In terms of the number of Thai in Italy, currently we have about approximately 7,000 Thais from all walks of life, be they students, part of Italy families, freelancers, or in service business. With this number, that is one of the reasons why the webinar today is so relevant. As for Italy, I am content to see the Italy economy has expanded at the rate of 6.3% last year, while investment, consumption, and export bounced back from the COVID pandemic. Even though inflation and surging energy costs issue remain a challenge, but it is a global problem which affects most countries, and Italy government are also well prepared and has various measures to lessen the impact and assist the people reside here. Concerning traveling during COVID pandemic, I am pleased to see that both Thailand and Italy are easing its travel restriction. Fully vaccinated travelers, including tourists and business persons from Thailand, can now enter Italy without the need to self-quarantine. I would like to express also that it is exciting to be in Italy now when people are more and more getting back to their pre-COVID period, like Green Pass measure from the 1st of May 2022 this year. We will see more opportunities for business and tourism between two countries. As a Thai in Italy, for Thai visitors, apart from the embassy in Rome, which can be contacted via the embassy website, which is worldwideweb.thai. It is Royal Thai Embassy Rome. You can see us on the Facebook, of course, and our Royal Thai Honorary Consulate General in Milan, Mr. Alberto, who is always here to offer support and assistance. On my last note of today's webinar, and hope that this will help Thais to know more about Italy's law and right, and would be a platform to share experience living and doing business in Italy.
It's your turn. It's my turn? Yes. So, good morning to everybody. Good afternoon and good evening to those who are in Thailand. So first of all, let me thank the Minister. She was so kind to join the webinar, and I'm happy to see her in the video now. Thanks to Thai Italian Chamber of Commerce, thanks to ALLegal and all their representatives. I was supposed to say something, but I can say that Minister mostly anticipate what I was planning to say. I would like to add just a couple of things, but very, very fast to let the webinar enter in the more relevant part of it. So, living in Italy, it's pretty easy.
For Thai who has never been in Italy before, never been in contact with Italian people in the past, can believe that, and you will hear that living in Italy is easy. As far as I know, Italian people and Thai people, I used to say we are two nations but one people, because mainly we act the same, we got the same approach to life and so many things. But talking about how easy living in Italy is now, sound to me a little bit strange at the moment, considering the winds of war coming from Ukraine. So, well, let's see. Anyhow, if we think and hope for the best, everything is easy. But there's the other side of the medal. The other side of the medal is bureaucracy. Bureaucracy in Italy is bureaucracy. I cannot find a better word to say, but luckily, Milan, if you ask, I can provide any help for whatever is requested. And mostly today, you will get all the information related to how to manage the dragoon of bureaucracy in Italy. Thanks.
Okay, thank you so much for the part of bureaucracy, especially.
That's true. Again,
or know a little bit this problem. Okay, it's common in a lot of countries. Okay, now it's turn of Riccardo.
Good morning to everyone. I have to say thank you to the Consol, because he talked about bureaucracy, and now I will talk you about bureaucracy. I will talk you about the entering Italy, the staying in Italy, and some tips about the Italian citizenship. So let's start. From October 1, 1997, the Italian this is very important, because in this space of a lot of countries, not just European, but also, for example, Switzerland, there is full freedom of circulation. There is the abolition checks on the internal borders, and the external borders are reinforced. So basically, if you enter in Italy, you can travel across every Schengen state, Spain, France, and all the others. Non-EU citizens have to present themselves at the borders, hold valid travel documents to cross the borders, hold valid visa if required by the legislation, and according to the European Regulation number 539 of 2001, the citizens of Kingdom of Thailand must hold a visa for Italy or any other Schengen member country, because there is the Schengen space. They also have to justify the purpose and condition of the stay, and have sufficient means of subsistence also for the return in the country of origin, so to in Thailand, or to go to a third country, or to be able to legally obtain such means. For example, the visa for work. I now have not enough money, but I'm going in Italy to work, so I will have the money to come back at the end of my staying. And it is very common to use a bank guarantee, or it is the money. The bank guarantee, we call it fideiussione bancaria. It's very common. There is a focus, very important, about the High Court, Corte di Cassazione of Italy. It said, non-EU person cannot enter the state and reside there permanently, the state of Italy, of course, unless he has an entry visa and a residence permit. That is an administrative document authorizing movement and establishment and activity for specific mandatory reasons, in particular. Entry visas and residence permits for visiting, tourism, business, work, family reunification, asylum, and medical care, among the most common. This is very important. It's a catchphrase, we can say it. But now we will explain in particular the visa. The visa, maybe you already know, it's a sticker to be applied to the passport, an authorization granted to the foreigner to enter the territory of the Italian Republic. It can be for transit or to stay. It has a deadline. It's not renewable. Release is at the discretion of the Italian consular authority. It's important, the Italian consular authority. The period of validity of the visa and the duration of the authorized stay are based on the examination, it is the bureaucracy, of the documents submitted, which are the documents related to the purpose of the trip, the accommodation, the sufficient means of subsistence until the return to the country of origin. And the visa, we have to remember that may be issued for 1 or 2 years. The validation may not exceed 5 years and includes exemptions after the expiration. It's important to say that in Italy, every year, the Republic of Italy defines the maximum quota of foreigners to be admitted in the territory of the state. There are quotas for employed, seasonal, self-employed, reserved for particular nationality, to those who have participated in training programs, to the descendant of Italian citizenship. Now we will examine, in particular, 4 types of visa. First one, business visa. Allows entry into Italy for a short-term stay with commercial economic use, contact or negotiation. Healthcare insurance is required, and you must provide the availability of accommodation by booking a hotel or a declaration of hospitality at an EU citizen or foreign regularly resident. Second type, very common, the tourist visa. Allows entry for a short stay in Italy countries, rating available accommodation and health insurance again. And because of a long stay for the foreign citizen in respect of which the joint resident in Italy intends to exercise the right to maintain or repurchase the family unit. It is very important, the cohabitation agreement, and about the cohabitation agreement, Leonardi will explain you later after my speech. Last but not least, we have the visa for study for a long term but fixed term stay for the foreign who intends to follow mainly university courses, but also applies to secondary education, so not just the university, and vocational training institute, professionale qualified, so university, scuole secondarie, high school, and professional but high-level professional studies. I will have to say a focus on the chamber and according to our work as a business law firm. The entry in Italy of foreign workers not belonging to the European Union, we intend to exercise activity of self-employment may be permitted, provided that the exercise of such activities is not reserved by law to Italian citizens or citizens of any of the state of the European Union. A foreign who intends that import tap capital companies, for example, limited company, which we call società a responsabilità limitata, persons who have access to office, they must demonstrate to have adequate resources for the exercise of the activity, fulfill the requirements laid down by the Italian law for the exercise of the individual activity, registration in registers and register in an albo professionale, a lot of requisition. All the certificate from the competent authority on a date not earlier than 3 months, declaring that there are no grounds for precluding the granting of the authorization or license envisaged for the pursuit of the activity which the foreign intend to carry on. We have to say that staying in Italy now. So once you enter, you have to stay, to legally stay, to have a title to legally stay in Italy. We have some possibilities. The declaration of presence, maximum 3 months to report to the state police. The resident permit, maximum 2 years, submit the application to the competent questura. EU residence permit for long-term permanent residence is indefinitely, with request or a compliance form. There must have been 5 years of regular residence permit. So after 5 years of staying with a regular permit to stay, I can ask the residence permit for long-term, which have no expiration date, which is very important. Residence permit, we have to focus on it, is the more frequent title of permit issued by questura, when a foreign enters in Italy, directly or through the sportello. Important, family reunification and subordinate work. It also is in front of the sportello unico. And sportello unico also grants the certificate of attribution of the tax code. So basically, you enter, they say you have to pay taxes. Excuse me for my.
Also, in Italy, when you're born, the first thing is
yes,
tax code.
yes. For Italian, when you're born. For you, Thai, when you enter. But everyone has it. And I just want to focus. The matter is very big and very long. We need a lot of hours, but we have not so much time. But I want to focus on contratto di soggiorno. It's very important because the residence permit for employed person shall be issued following the conclusion of a contract, a so-called contratto di soggiorno, staying contract. It ends at the sportello unico in prefettura. Okay, not questura, but prefettura. You can see we are little bureaucrats in Italy. It ends at the sportello unico in prefettura, and with it, the employer undertakes to ensure suitable accommodation and undertakes to pay the expenses of returning to the country of origin for the worker. Just two last things about Italian citizenship. Italian state law of 1992 privileged the channel of transmission ius sanguinis, as we say. I mean, Italian citizen is the son of father or mother citizen, not ius soli, like for example in the US. But there are significant exceptions that allow foreigners to become Italian citizens. We have basically two. According to Article 5, the foreign spouse of an Italian citizen may acquire citizenship when, after the marriage, he has legally resided for at least 2 years in the territory of Italy, or after 3 years from the date of the marriage, if he resides abroad, if he resides, for example, in Thailand. If at the time of the adoption of the decree granting the citizenship, there has been no breach of the matrimonial bond and there has been no legal separation of the spouses. About this concept, Serena Leonardi will explain later something, of course. According to Article 9, the citizenship may be granted 2 years. So, basically, legislation about visas, residence permit, and eventually of citizenship is under the rule of administrative law. So it is particular, there is bureaucracy. It could appear not so clear in the beginning, even for us operators, even for us sometimes. But we can manage to fulfill the requirements and to go on. Thank you.
Thank you, Riccardo.
We have here 2 little tips. Oh, this is great. So I've got just two little tips concerning permit of stay, Italy, whatever. 2 things. One is concerning Schengen. There's sometimes a misunderstanding that create problems, especially to Thai businessmen. They come to Italy, then they move to Switzerland, and they can move freely to Switzerland. They buy goods, maybe quality watches or whatever, and then they get back to Italy. No free circulation of goods from Switzerland. So once you buy goods in Switzerland and you get back to Italy, you have to declare them at the custom. In the past, it's been happening quite a few times that some businessmen traveling by train, for example, from Geneva to Rome or to Milan or to whatever, moved from Italy to Switzerland and back to Italy. But meanwhile, they were in Switzerland, they bought some quality watches or whatever. Those were taken away from custom officers. They had to pay a fee, and it became a huge lot of problems. So don't forget that Switzerland is not fully Schengen. It's free circulation of people, but not free circulation of goods. That's it. This is one thing. The other thing is faster and easier. The birth certificate. So many Thai long time residents in Italy, they don't find their birth certificate, and you need it for so many purposes. Renewal of permit of stay, changing of surname, acquiring Italian citizenship, whatever. And sometimes they say, no, I never had it, which is wrong because they were forced to have it the first time they enter a register in Italy. But I don't know why. They forget it, they lose it, and whatever. Please remind people living and staying in Italy that the birth certificate is badly needed in so many situation. That's it. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much. I think the problem because in Thailand, like in Italy, for everything you need the birth certification. In Thailand, you need the house paper for everything. Yes, so probably they give more importance to other type of document. Okay, thank you so much. I'm very happy for these tips. Okay, and we want to try now speaking about the family law. It's impossible to speak today about all the rules in Italy, but we are trying to make a focus between the difference from Italy and Thailand, because it happens a lot of time in consulate. Sometimes Thai people don't know the Italian rule. They think it's the same to Thai. A lot of time there is the husband of the Thai people trying to say the rules are different for the marriage, for the children. So we are trying in this short time we have to focus in the most important things. Thank you, Serena. Now.
Thank you. Good morning and good afternoon to people from Thailand. Today I want to give you some, I think, some useful information about the family law, which is very complicated, as Edoardo just said. So we can start to talk about marriage. So in Italy permits and regulates a civil marriage and also concordat marriage. In Italy it's called matrimonio concordatario, celebrated according to the Catholic rite and following the canonical form. These also have civil effects recognized by the Italian Republic. The thing that you have to know is that you are married in Thailand. Your marriage is considered valid for the Italian Republic, but you need to go to the consular offices for the trascrizione. It's also possible to get married in consular offices, and it's possible between Italian citizens and foreigners. But in this case, you need to expose the marriage bans in the competent municipality of residence. This procedure is not very fast and very easy, so it's better to get married in Thailand and then to come to Italy and to ask for the transcription of marriage. What is marriage in Italy? So I will give you some, I hope, useful information. So marriage in Italy is fidelity, assistance, collaboration, and cohabitation. About children, if there are children, parents have the same rights on children between the parents. It means that mother and father have to take care of their children both. They must contribute to the support, care, education, maintenance, and upbringing of the children. About the matrimonial regime in Italy, known as regime patrimoniale coniugale, is governed by the Italian Civil Code. And there are two kinds of matrimonial regime: the community of property and the separation of property. In absence of agreement, the matrimonial regime will be always the community of property. So you have to remember, in absence of agreement. The goods of the communions are purchases made by spouses together or separately during the marriage, companies managed by spouses and opened after the wedding, the profits of a personal business. But there are some personal properties that are not part of the community. For example, the goods of property before the marriage, or property acquired during the marriage by donation or inheritance, and the goods obtained as compensation of damages. About the regime of separation of property, the spouse is the sole owner of his and her property acquired during the marriage. This agreement must have been the form of public under pain of nullity. The choice of the regime of separation may be at any time, so before, at the time of marriage, before and after the wedding, with an agreement signed in presence of a notary. Now we can talk about another possibility. So if you don't want to marry, you can cohabitate in Italy. And in this case, you can opt for cohabitation agreement. First of all, you have to remember something very important. I don't know if in Thailand it's different, because children have the same rights of children born in a marriage. So it means that both parents must contribute to support, care, maintenance, education, and upbringing of the children. So there's no difference for children if they are born during a marriage or if they are born during a cohabitation. And this is a very, very important
cohabitation
or in general outside the marriage. Exactly. So I was saying before that if you want to regulate your relationship, not the marriage, but only cohabitation, you have the possibility to opt for the cohabitation agreement. This agreement shall be in writing, and it shall be a public agreement by a notary, and it cannot be subject to any terms or conditions. Can be concluded only by adult partners, also including same-sex couples. And this agreement is quite important because partners may regulate their economical relationship. And the advantage of a cohabitation agreement is that the partners have the power to decide the hypothetical consequences of the end of a relationship. So it's very useful because you define before what will happen at the end of the relationship. About the end of the relationship.
Speaking, you want to give tips about the
sorry, no, I'm really
because
sorry
sometimes the rules are different.
To interrupt you, but I just want to spot out a little thing to avoid misunderstanding. Everything was just said is correct, but if you are a Thai living in Italy and you're not married, you ain't got a job or whatever, even if you live together with an Italian, unless you have kids, you will not have the permit to stay, or you will not have your permit to stay renewed. That's the limit. So I mean, not being married is a problem only under this point of view, the permit to stay. That's it. Yes.
Thank you.
Sorry.
Thank you. No, correct.
No, because for the law, it will be the same.
Not the permit to stay.
But you don't have the permit. Yeah.
And the problem, to say, sometimes if you go to a questura or prefettura, it's not too easy to explain to them what is cohabitation because they know it's you need a marriage stop. Okay.
No, everywhere in the world cops are cops.
Thanks.
You're welcome. So now we can talk about the legal separation in Italy.
Because not all the marriage are happy. Okay.
So
Sometimes
it can happen.
No, we want to focus about this because the conflict, we have a lot of problems with separation because now, sorry, sir, I interrupt you, but Thai people usually don't know how it works in Italy.
About right and
They're very scared about separation in Italy for the paper, for the visa, for everything.
It's a headache most of the time. Yeah.
Yes. So it's the reason we speak probably more about the separation than the marriage. Not because we hope all the people have separation. Okay, we are lawyers.
Yeah, but
we want people happy, but because it's the most difficult case come from separation and divorce.
Yeah, and it's important that you know your rights, so and how to act.
The legal support also.
Yeah. So separation is regulated by the Italian Civil Code and other laws. For the separation, you need at least a lawyer or two lawyers if there is a dispute, and you need to appear at the president of the local court. It's called udienza presidenziale. who offers the choice of a reconciliation or a formal separation. And in Italy, there are two kinds of separations. The first is a consensual separation, in which parts reach a mutual agreement between husband and wife, and this agreement will be approved by the court. So in this agreement, parts can decide the attribution of the family home, the personal and financial circumstances, and everything they need to regulate about their relationship. And if there are children in a marriage, parts can decide the maintenance and the custody and the rights of visitation of the children. And later we will talk about these rights in the details. The second type is a judicial separation, and when it's not reached an agreement between parts, and they need to go to the court, where a judge determines how to regulate the relationship, so personal and financial circumstances, and everything about family home, the maintenance, the custody and visitation of the children. You have to remember that in Italy, if one of the spouses is not economically self-sufficient, for example, a wife who was an housekeeper during the marriage, the Italian Civil Code provides the maintenance from the other partner. So this is very important to know. After separation, you can ask for the divorce. So you have to be careful, because in Italy, separation and divorce are two different proceedings. So first, parts have to ask for separation, and after 6 months from the udienza presidenziale, from the appearance at the president of the local court, it's possible to ask for the divorce. And this proceeding is very similar to separation. So parts have to go to the court to ratify an agreement, or the judge decide the personal and financial circumstances if the parts don't reach an agreement. As I told you, also for the divorce, you have two possibilities: the consensual divorce, there is an agreement, and a judicial divorce if the parts don't reach an agreement, and so the judge decides to regulate all the circumstances. And the difference between separation and divorce is also another important thing to know, that the divorce terminates marriage at all. Instead, the separation can be a temporary measure. So it means that parts can decide to live and stay together again without having a new marriage again. So they can stay again another time. With the divorce, parts lost also the inheritance rights on the other spouse. So this is very important to know. That's one of the differences between separation and divorce. As I told you before, I want to tell you what happened to the family home and to children after a separation or a divorce. And if there are children and they are not economically self-sufficient, the family home is attributed to the parent who lives prevalent with the child. In Italian, it's called collocazione prevalente. So we can say that the family home follows the children. In Italy, for the children, it usually required the joint custody, custodia condivisa or affido condiviso in Italian, because in Italy it's respected the principle of double parenthood. Joint legal custody, what does it mean? It means that parents must share the decision regarding the children, like health, safety, education, and welfare. And both parents share the legal custody of their child. If there are contrasts, the decisions are demanded, as always, to the court.
About this, explain a lot of time. There is also my part a lot of sad story, because a lot of time people, usually husband, try to say to the wife there is not this right. They say, okay, you are from another country.
This is true. I mean, you must take care. I mean, the Thai side should take care, because this is history, so I'm not just gossiping or talking bad, but it's true. It's real story. Sometimes they are cheating and tricky. So you're alone. You're in a different country. You don't know the rules, and your husband. This is the most of the case. I mean, it's the Italian side, and the Italian husband is tricky to you and tells you a lot of lies. What you have to do when you have problems is ask ask the support from the Thai authority, so the embassy or local consulate or whatever, because they provide you good suggestion and good help. I take the chance to say one more little thing. If you're married and you divorce, but after divorce you don't have a job, you don't have kids, your permit of stay once again expires. Mm-hmm. So remind that too. That's it.
Thank you. So also I was saying that the physical custody can also be shared, but especially if children are very young, they live primarily with one parent, usually is the mother. Usually the parent with whom the child primarily lives has the physical custody of the child and has the power to care of some everyday practical issues. The parent with the visitation rights can visit and spend the time with children on an agreed basis and has to pay a monthly maintenance. It's called contributo mensile al mantenimento in Italian, to the parent who lives primarily with the children. And also again, if there are contrasts, the decisions are demanded to the court. Be careful, because in Italy, the sole custody in Italy, so affido esclusivo, it's a rare exception, and it happens only if one parent is considered unfit or unable. But what does it mean? It means that, for example, if one parent goes to prison or uses drugs or abuses of alcohol. So it's a very, very rare case. So it doesn't happen very often. So don't be careful about it, because it's not so easy. The sole custody in Italy, it's really a rare exception in a minority of cases.
Usually
very dramatic situations. Yeah, as I told you, drugs, alcohol, or people goes to prison, or this,
sometimes also people going in and out from prison. There is
sometimes they are, yes. But also in this case, also in affido esclusivo, the parent who has the rights of visitation, always with the supervision of the social services, servizi sociali, is not exempt from paying child support. So has to pay always the child support.
Serena, may I ask you something? Sorry to interrupt. Something very practical for the audience today. So, for example, if you have this type of situation, so your partner has difficulty with money, maybe has some criminal record, you feel in danger, you are a foreigner in Italy, what is your suggestion? Where you can find help? Do you suggest contact your embassy in Rome, talk to the consul general near your city? Because probably by the end of the day, if you have this type of situation, you have kids, what is the fastest way to help a foreigner, a Thai foreigner in Italy?
I might suggest that the first thing is contact the Thai authority in Italy. That's it.
Yeah.
Because you get tips and support in order to move in a correct way. So first of all, unless it's a risky situation, so you have to contact police. That's obvious. But apart from that, if you've got time, I mean, this situation is still manageable. Yeah. Contact the Thai authority, and the Thai authority will provide support, help, but mostly suggestion and good tips for the right way. That's it.
Yeah, I also agree. Yeah. There are not other, faster solutions. So the best way is to contact the consular offices and ask for assistance
for everything. You might provide assistance in order to make them get in touch with the social workers, like Artese or whatever.
Yes.
So, I mean, there's roles that they can walk in but they need to be addressed to the rules. That's it.
Yeah, I can say that it's better not to go to assistenti sociali directly, but it's better go to the counselor offices and to have assistance before.
Most of the time you need mediator because you don't speak Italian, so you need a translator, you need sometimes official translator. So better ask the Thai authority for support. That's it.
And may I ask you, Your Excellency, for example, the Embassy of Italy in Thailand, they have an emergency number for the citizen might encounter anything 24 hours, 7 days on 7. The Thai Embassy, Royal Thai Embassy in Italy,
Yes.
they have a same service.
The minister, I don't know if minister is still connected, but there's a health number, which is a mobile number. It's 24 on 24. Unfortunately, I haven't got it here, so I cannot give it to you, but there's an emergency number too. Yes.
Sorry for the noisy, but we are in the center of Milan, and today there is a manifestation against the war. So I don't know if you...
There's some protesters, though.
Yes.
No, don't worry, we can hear you clearly.
Okay.
Sorry to interrupt, Serena. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut your presentation, please.
No, never mind. So I was quite to the end.
Sorry, what for the dangerous situation? Immediately call the police.
Yes.
And after the police, waiting for the police call the embassy.
Yeah.
Okay. But okay, when there is an emergency, you have to call the police.
Yeah.
Okay.
And not to go directly to social services.
Police.
Please don't go,
Yes.
because it's very important to go to the consular offices before to have all the assistance, also linguistic assistance.
The embassy or consul.
Yeah.
Okay, but these the two steps. Okay, thank you.
Okay. So I just want to tell you 2 words about a compulsory step for separation and divorce in Italy. It was introduced in 2014, and it's called Assisted Negotiation Agreement. You can also choose a collaborative divorce proceeding. This procedure needs lawyers to represent each part, 1 lawyer for each part. And it's possible to use this procedure also if you have children or if you don't have children. If you have children, the procedure, the agreement is transmitted to the public prosecutor of the competent court. And if the agreement corresponds to the interests of children, the agreement is authorized, is approved. If it isn't, the president of the court ordered the parts to appear. So it's, we can say, a faster procedure if you don't want to go to the court for separation and divorce. But also in this case, you need the assistance of 2 lawyers, because you need 1 lawyer for each part. And at the end, I just wanted to remember that if there are not children, they are not minors, or they are economically self-sufficient, the spouses can declare their will to separate also before an Italian public officer. It's called Ufficiale di Stato Civile in Italian, with a very fast procedure. It's a very cheap procedure and very fast. And you don't need, in this case, the support of a lawyer, but only if you don't have children or children are adult.
Yes,
so when economically
cases.
Yeah, in easier cases where there are not particular circumstances to discuss.
Okay, thank you so much. I don't know if there is any question.
Thank you very much. Perhaps the second part of the webinar. In the meantime, let's say for all participants, you can drop your question in the chat. So my staff will check, and as a moderator, I will address also the speaker later on. In the meantime, I would like to introduce also our guest from, I believe from Italy. We have Kun Pisadi, Kun Wipawin, and Kun Krit, respectively are cultural mediator in Milan, a freelance fashion designer and industrial designer who have experience living in Italy, working in Italy. While we are waiting for a chat to appear, maybe we can give some time to all of them to give us maybe 5 minutes of your experience in Italy. Maybe we can start with Pisadi, later con Wipawin, Crit, later on, 5 minutes each.
Good morning from Italy and good afternoon in Thailand. สวัสดีค่ะ I would like to introduce myself. My name is Pisadi. I arrived in Italy 13 years ago. A short time in Sweden, I had contact with a member of my family who found a work for me. Just arrived, I started to work in a restaurant. But I was looking for a school then after Italian language course. I immediately understood it was very important to learn Italian. So I started to study a very intensive course, but I thought study was enough. So I always tried to use Italian language in every occasion. I worked a lot of time in the food service, restaurant and coffee shop. More than I learned Italian and more was the opportunity. So in 2017, I opened my own shop, small boutique in Milan. I had it for 3 years. I had the opportunity to meet a lot of people. Since 2020, I work as cultural mediator, the government office, actually the immigration, police, or social service call me to help Thai people in Italy. To speak with them is a very nice opportunity to use all I learned Italian for the Thai people here in Italy. I'm also a shareholder and CEO of Thai company working with Europe and Italy, so often came back to Thailand. So thank you very much.
Okay. I don't know if people want to add something very connected to what Serena said. So about your work like a mediator, because you see all the problem.
With Thai people here, what is the program?
Thai people coming to Italy for the visa, and especially the sad part when we can speak Thai. I don't know if you want to speak English or Thai. I don't know. I have to ask again.
Thai,
Better Thai.
Okay.
Okay.
For the program with Thai people.
Yes, it's important because there is a lot of sad story. Okay, we can explain everything about Thai people here. Okay, I don't know if Michele is for Michele it's okay. She can speak 2 minutes in Thai. I don't know if it's possible.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yes.
โอเค สวัสดีค่ะ วันนี้ก็จะมาพูดคุยกับคนไทยทุกๆคนนะคะกับปัญหาที่เจอกันบ่อยๆนะคะที่พบมากในอิตาลีนะคะหนึ่งก็คือเรื่องของปัญหาของวีซ่านะคะบางคนก็จะเป็นแบบวีซ่าหมดอายุอะไรอย่างนี้ก็จะไปเป็นล่ามนะคะให้กับimmigration นะคะแล้วก็Commissione ที่นี่นะคะเขาจะเรียกเป็นภาษาอิตาลีก็คือจะเจอปัญหาโดยส่วนใหญ่คนไทยก็จะแบบวีซ่าหมดอายุแล้วก็ปัญหาเกี่ยวกับเรื่องทางครอบครัวแล้วก็ปัญหาเกี่ยวกับเรื่องการใช้ภาษาอิตาลีไม่เป็นพูดภาษาอิตาลีไม่ได้ก็คือจะต้องไปทำหน้าที่เป็นล่ามช่วยแปลในเรื่องของตรงนี้นะคะก็จะมีเยอะมากนะคะในปัญหาตรงนี้ส่วนอย่างอื่นก็ไม่มีอะไรค่ะก็โอเคเนาะไม่มีอะไรแล้วค่ะ finito scusa passa
Okay. Michele, want to speak? Okay. We Pauline, okay, she's ready.
Okay, good morning and good evening everyone. My name is Vipawining Sakmongkon and I've been staying in Italy for the 5 years since I moved to Italy in 2016. I was here the first time to continue my education in master degree in Milan. And so roughly after I graduated, I got a job with the fashion brand here as a social media management. And since then, the good thing about my university is that they gave me like a certificate to ask for a permit of work, and so that's how I start my life in Italy in general. To speak about my intention in coming here, at first I didn't have the intention to stay here for a long term at all, and so in that case, I didn't have prepared myself enough for language, Italian language, like not intensively at all. And my university has always been teaching in English. So let's say a few years earlier of my stay in Italy, I have always been using English. And then I have like started to notice that to stay here in Italy, the Italian language is very important. But aside from that, as I was saying, that I was not like have the intent to stay here a long term. But after I graduated and then start working here, I see the opportunity. I feel it's like the life, the fun of staying abroad by myself. And that is how I start to get more serious about continuing staying here. So I start to have a job, and later on I continue renewing my permit of work to be a freelance, which is as I am working right now as a freelance designer. So yeah, I think it's quite that I found out like there are lots of difference between living in Thailand and in Italy in terms of law. But basically that is it, just to explain shortly about myself. If it's too short.
No,
thank you so much.
Thank you a lot. Thank you a lot also because we have already 1 hour of webinar. So I will give the virtual floor now to Mr. Krit. Thank you for being with us, Mr. Krit.
Hi, my name is Krit. I have been living in Italy like since 2012. I've come here to study in design, and I found I like here, so I live here. So living in Italy, I don't know much about law, but I gotta tell you guys, if you want to stay here, some good part and some bad part to living in Italy. Like for Thai people, maybe they don't like about food. I don't know, maybe it's not too spicy for them, but I found it's great to have a cheese every day. Apart from that, it's the weather. So the weather here is quite good compared to Thailand. You don't have to like hot all day. You have some hot cold or really freezing cold, but it's fine. And if I found a lot of Thai people who went here and they have a lot of allergic to flowers in springtime, so maybe take care of your health before in here. And then the people here are very nice. Yeah, they're really helpful and talkative. So maybe you will find some culture shock for the first time, like the people talk to you all the time, but it's fine. The people here are nice, they're really helpful. Apart from the place like post office or the police office, maybe you found some difficulty to deal with them. Yeah, but and then another important things, maybe the language. If you could study before the language, like ask where's the toilet or where to go there before you came here, it will save you a lot of problems. Because I don't know, if you come to the north part of Italy, maybe it's fine. People here are talking in English, but if you're planning to go to the south of Italy, disaster. Yeah. So in Thailand, I think they have some course in some school which have a lower price to teach them before, because I studied Italian before I came here, like 1 year before. Yeah. And yeah, that's it.
No, thank you a lot for sharing different point of views. And yeah, probably it could be like a cultural shock for changing your life totally, from one thing is like being a tourist, one other thing is like living in Italy, moving to Italy, and vice versa. Perhaps if Edoardo, if you agree, would you like to invite some of the attendees if someone wants to say something or address you as a speaker? Perhaps it's easier.
Okay, no, first of all, I want to say that the three Thai guests, all of them speak about the life in Italy and to live in Italy, also in Milan, but especially in other parts of the country, you have to speak Italian. And all of them speak Italian very well, okay? They speak in English because, okay, it is a webinar, but all of them speak Italian very well. Okay, I don't know if there is any question about the law or the life in Thailand, okay, in Italy for Thai people, also for Italian people, okay, because
it's also interesting.
Okay, there is in the chat, okay, just salve, okay.
May I ask like something in for Thai that relocate to Italy? For example, you happen to live for quite a while, you might miss Thailand. Do you have some, let's say, community, Thai community, or maybe through the embassy and the consulate, in where you can, let's say, blend in the Thai community again, or if you want to celebrate some Thai festival, where is your, for example, who lives in the north of Italy, who lives in Rome, for example, in the south of Italy? Do you have some support from your embassy or other Thai community if you want to celebrate some, let's say, National Day celebration? I'm thinking about this because, for example, you might find in other European countries bigger Thai communities. And from what I understand, actually, the Thai community in Italy, your consular attaché just mentioned about 7,000-8,000 people registered. Do you have any suggestion if you have other citizens relocating to Italy?
That's pretty true. I mean, we're not that much if you compare to Germany, if you compare to UK, well, the number of Thais there is much bigger. But luckily, all along Italy, we got Thai association, which are managed by Thai citizens, and they work pretty well. I mean, we got Lombardy, we got in Veneto, we got in the center of Italy, we got in the south of Italy, association which are connected to the embassy and basically are rooted in the area. So they got good connection with Thai people, involved Thai people all over Italy, I would say, and they're working good. You know, that's positive. Basically, it's on a volunteer basis, but nevertheless, it's working. And I got connection with the embassies. Sometimes there's two-side connection. So maybe the embassy as a need, they can approach the Thai association and the Thai community or whatever. So I think it's pretty well connected with the association. Nobody. My deep hope is that we will have a Songkran festival, maybe late in the year, but maybe in June or July. July maybe it's late, but in June we might have a Songkran festival in Milan. So that could be.
But if we didn't have the COVID, maybe we just make every year for the festival.
Yeah,
Songkran. Yeah, we have Thai association. We make every year for Songkran festival also. Also Loi Krathong also we do every year. Yeah. But now we have pandemic because
Milan, it's Milan, you know.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and then we kind of have like a Thai food festival somewhere in the north. Sometimes they have it in Milan, sometimes they have it in Turin, but since the COVID, it's super difficult to participate, and most of them has to cancel. It's a pity.
Okay, see, there is in the chat 2 questions, I think, for Riccardo.
I can read aloud maybe for the first one is about to apply for long-term resident permit. Does it count the time that you hold the student permit possible after residing in Italy over 5 years? Very technical.
Yes. Good morning, bar evening. Yes, it is possible. It is possible, and just remember that it's not the time to calculate the date to start. It's not the date you enter, but the date you received the permit. Because sometimes, usually, there is sometimes between the 2 dates. Okay. About the second questions. Okay. No, it means.
Okay.
For the second
question. Yes, it is possible. Sorry, yes, it is possible to join the period of the permit to stay for student possibilities. In this moment I'm having a case from India, but okay, about this stuff. So it is possible. About the second one, that's a tricky question. Allora, well, usually the motivi familiari permit.
Sorry, I
yes.
Maybe for the audience, basically in the chat, they're asking, I have a resident permit for family reason. May I invite my mother to come and visit, or I need her to do a tourist visa? No, so please.
It's yes, for as the consul said. For the permit and visas are different. They are linked together, but they're different. So even if I have the permit to stay for familiar reunification full, my mother, if she wants to come, she has to have for a short stay term the visa, the touristic visa. For a long one, we can manage about it, but the visas is always required for the entering. I'm pretty sure of it. I don't know if the consul wants to say.
Yes, it's correct. I mean, basically, forget your time, whatever, to enter Italy, if you're not Schengen, you need a visa. That's it. For whatever purpose you're entering, but you need a visa. So if you have a relation in maybe a son, a daughter, whatever in Italy, and you want to come, the best way is if you're not planning to stay long in Italy, is to ask for a tourist visa, disrespecting the fact that it's let's say a family joining, but basically a tourist visa is the fastest way. Anyhow, you will have support from the type part who's in Italy. That's it. But in any case, tourist system. And the fastest way and the easiest way is a tourist visa.
Yeah, sorry, I would like to specify that about the permit to stay for long-term permit, the only require is a legal residence. Okay, so a legal residence of at least 5 years. That's important. No, the title, it is for, it started with, for example, study purpose, then change into a working permit. There's no problem. Just has to be legal permit, the legal residence in Italy.
Okay, I think it's also another step. Okay, the 5 years start, okay, with the residence.
See.
You go to the questura, usually questura in this case, to ask a new visa, and you ask the long term. But you need to have all the presupposti.
Sì.
Yes, to ask the new visa, the new permit. Okay. If you can't ask a new permit, okay, it's not a time.
Yes, I'm leaving it by now. It's not a problem. I mean, you can ask for the longer term permit to stay. If they say that you don't fulfill the requirements, they just give you the regular one permit to stay. So there's not don't be worried at all. The requirements are important. A test about Italian language for the long term, I mean, and other stuff related basically to the contract, for example, the work contract, and to live in a adequate structure, okay, in your residence for living, and basically it's everything okay with this. The Italian test the test for Italian is very important, because we have basically the permit for longer. The long permit is a way between the citizenship and the normal permit. Above all, that the person who asks it, because it's very good for you, is much more integrated than usual. They ask you a sort of demonstration of integration with the structures, with the social structures of Italy in the end. That's why there is the asking for the Italian language.
I think it's funny, but the best way to explain Italy, one of the way to show to the government that you are integrated, you live in Italy, you have to pay all the taxes. Yes. Taxes or the interest or the social security. If you have not the social security paid for every reason, they think, you are not. Okay. So I think it's particular in this country. Okay.
There's one. I search for your support. I mean, here, but there's one topic I would like to exploit in 2 words, which is always neglected because we think for good, which is healthcare. Healthcare in Italy for a foreigner. I think you can provide, some notice about that, because sometimes it's a big question, but very, very often neglected, because we never think about that, but sometimes it occurs, So, healthcare in Italy. C'è qualcuno che vuole dare il fatto dell'assistenza sanitaria gratuita, indipendentemente dal fatto che...
So the healthcare in Italy is always, free. So everybody has, the possibility to ask for the assistance to the hospital, to the PS. So you don't need to pay a private insurance if you can't. So if you want to have a private insurance, you can do it, but it's not necessary in Italy. So if you need to go to the hospital, if you have health problems, you can go to the hospital for free, and everything is paid for everybody.
And one other important thing, you can go there whether you are regular or irregular. Exactly. That means even if your permit of stay is expired, or you enter with a tourist visa and the visa expired and you are, let's say, illegal in Italy, and it happens you have a health problem, access to the structures like hospital or doctors or whatever, with no fear, because there's no risk. You can go and have total health support from the Italian government, free of charge, and sometimes even without asking you any document. That's it.
Yeah, it's very important, and it's not.
Thank you for sharing this information, because we know, let's say, we are proud of our health system in Italy, but this is also important to share and let people know. Maybe today we touch many topics, so I believe that with the support with Edoardo, perhaps we can plan in the upcoming weeks some other webinar. Something that you mentioned today, perhaps, of course, the health insurance is not needed, but perhaps for Thai citizens that are married, they live in Italy for a long time, So maybe they plan also the retirement. Nowadays, the retirement plan is becoming more important also for Italian citizens. So perhaps this could be another topic to develop in upcoming webinars together.
One of the guests wrote in the chat, but you need the voluntary restriction to the government, to regional government. It will cost 150 euros.
Sì, organico, quello che indiano qua a Milano gliel'hanno chiesto, tutti gli anni paga 150 euro, smettila perché c'è il servizio nazionale. So, però gliel'hanno chiedono. Università.
Siamo in Italia.
Ok, scusate.
E quello è il paradosso, se sono regolari devo darci così, se sono irregolari...
There is a nice trick. Also in Lombardy, they ask you that because one of my clients, I told him, what are you paying? He told me the $150 for the insurance, voluntary insurance to the healthcare system. But as the Consol said, and we all know, it is totally free for everybody, even for the illegal aliens. So they just try to ask you money. I told him, stop paying, because if we go, of course, if even I am citizen, go to the hospital and there is no urgency of my being in the hospital, I have to pay, of course. But if I go to the hospital and I need the hospital assistance, it's all free. And also the medicine are, come dire, calmierare, non so come si dica in inglese.
Waived.
So the price, ecco. I know the regions ask you them, if you pay, you have paid, so okay. But up to now, the system, the healthcare system is for free for everybody.
Okay.
Thank you. Thank you.
I have some question for the permesso di soggiorno di periodo lungo, the long-term permit, and cittadinanza
You got a guess
italiana.
that you can't ask now.
Sorry.
I'm joking.
I'm just curious what the difference between that two, like long-term permit and the cittadinanza, the citizenship. If the permesso is long-term, it's not expired.
The difference is between citizenship and long permit, long staying. Okay.
Yeah.
But, well, citizenship once and for all, you can vote, you can be elected, and you can, for example, do some works that are entitled to the Italian citizens. For example, in the police, I'm pretty sure of it. For example, the notary, some military, of course, the army, for example, of course, the army. Also the judge, I'm pretty sure the judge has to be citizen. Lawyers, no, lawyers not required. If you want to join us, you are here. But the difference is that citizenship, it grants you a lot of stuff. First of all, that your children, for example, will be Italian citizens because you are Italian and there is the jus sanguinis. I mean, if the father or the mother is Italian, the child, is Italian. So first of all, your children will be Italian. Even if your bride or your spouse is not Italian, there's no problem. You are Italian, your children are Italian. First, very important. Second one, you know, the public officers. Third one, the right to vote, because now for some time, for some things, you with the residence permit can vote for local authorities, local municipalities in somehow, but you cannot vote for the general election, for example. General elections for the government, basically, or well, the parliament and then the government are just for Italian citizens. Other one is that basically you do not have the permit, even if it's a longer term permit to stay, can be revoked in cases like, for example, you commit crimes, it can be revoked by the authorities. Citizenship, we talked about yesterday, me and Serena, it's quite impossible to revoke a citizenship. Even if you commit high crimes, you have to, for example, do some spy story with the enemies during the war. It's very difficult. Even people in jail are Italian citizens. They do not revoke it. The permit could be revoked because of public order. Ecco, yes, that's the spirit. I hope to have been clear to you with this.
Yes, very clear. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
May I add one little thing?
Or I'm sure.
Still about the permit of stay. So, long-term permit of stay does not mean permanent. That's the thing. So your permit of stay, apart from the fact if you commit crimes or whatever, but mostly when the reason why you obtain cease or when it's not active anymore, even your long-term expires. Example, you are married, you got no kids, then you divorce. You had the long-term permit of stay after the divorce. If you haven't a job, if you haven't any reason to stay in Italy, your long-term permit of stay expires. That's it. So while on the other hand, citizenship is never-ending story. That's it.
I see.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Okay. I think now we reach almost 90 minutes of webinar, and also thanks to Edoardo, we touch many different points. Perhaps we approach the conclusion of this webinar, but again, I will invite all legals to support us in upcoming webinars because we open up to several input also from the audience. Edoardo, of course, from our side, you and your team are very welcome, and actually thank you for arranging and organizing this wide spectrums of topics today.
Thank you to the Chamber of Commerce for let us this opportunity, okay, to speak with all Thai friend, Italian and Thai friend, okay, and see in 1 month, okay, speaking about business the next time, okay.
Yes,
so,
also it's very interesting. Just mention from you is like also if a Thai citizen wants to develop his business in Italy, maybe it's much easier than we expect. Perhaps that would be also next topic.
Yes, will be very interesting. I think. I hope also today was interesting for all the guests. We try to explain to Thai people how to come in Italy, and the 3 Thai guests, the life in Italy is also nice. Okay, different from Thailand, but also nice here. And finally, I want to ask Mr. Alberto Virgilio, and I don't know if there is also the minister. Okay, I think he's connected, but probably he's very busy to the. No, just say thank you.
Okay, goodbye to all.
Thank you to everything. Okay.
Thank you. So we will edit the registration of recording of this webinar. We will upload it on the YouTube channel of the TICC in probably about next week. And of course, I would like to thank the Royal Thai Embassy in Rome and the Honorary Consul of the Reign of Thailand in Milan with Mr. Virgilio. Thank you for being with us today. And of course, ALLegal and our speaker from Mr. Krit, Kun Wipawin, and of course, Kun Pisadi. Thank you for sharing your information, your experience in Italy. Thank you, everyone.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you.
Bye. Thank you. Have a good weekend, everyone.
You too.